Long ago, when the forests of Africa still whispered to men, when the gods spoke through the wind and the moon was the eye of truth, there stood a prosperous village called Odenkwa. It was a land of laughter and music, surrounded by rolling hills and palm groves. The people of Odenkwa were known for their hard work and kindness. Among them lived a man named Okafor, known far and wide as Odenkwa the Wealthy. He was a tall, proud man with a booming voice, strong arms, and the cunning of a fox. His barns were filled with yam and corn. His land stretched farther than a man could walk in a day, and his herds grazed freely across the valley. He had two wives, Ngozi, his first wife, common wise, and Amora, his second, younger and gentle as the morning dew. To the villagers, Okafor was a man favored by the gods. His compound was always busy with visitors seeking advice or work, but behind all his wealth and power lay a heart that was never satisfied. Okafor was consumed by envy, not of the poor, but of those few who sat in the company of kings. He envied Chief Nwankwo, who rode in a horse-drawn chariot. He envied Obi the merchant, whose name was known in other towns. Every night, while his wives slept, Okafor would sit outside under the moon, staring at his gold, murmuring, "I am rich, yet not rich enough. I have land, yet not enough. When will I be the greatest of all?" One night, when the sky was heavy and the crickets had fallen silent, a cold wind swept through his hut. It carried a whisper, soft yet sharp as a blade. "Okafor," the voice said, "if you desire riches beyond men, come to the forest of Ajala. There lies the key to your fortune." Okafor's body trembled. He looked around, but no one was there. He tried to sleep, but the voice returned again and again until dawn. The next morning, he told no one of what he had heard. Instead, he rose before sunrise, wrapped himself in a red cloth, took his walking stick, and began the journey into the forbidden forest. The forest of Ajala was feared by all. It was said to be the dwelling of spirits, a place where men entered and never returned. The air there was thick, the trees old and twisted, and the silence heavy like a secret. Okafor walked deeper and deeper until he came to a small clearing where a fire burned without smoke. There, sitting beside the fire, was an old man dressed in black. His skin wrinkled like bark, his eyes pale as the moon. Without turning, the man spoke. "I have been expecting you, son of Nadozi." Okafor froze. "You know my name, old man." The forest knows every name whispered by greed. He stood slowly, his staff gleaming with strange carvings. "You came to seek wealth, did you not?" "Yes, wise one. I am ready to do anything." "Anything?" "Yes." The man nodded. "Then you shall serve the spirits of Ajala. Bring a white fowl at dawn. Offer it to the gods, and the first gate of wealth shall open." Okafor bowed deeply and returned home. The next morning, he came with the fowl, just as instructed. The old man, who was no ordinary priest but a servant of dark spirits, chanted strange words, drew circles in the sand, and poured palm wine on the earth. The fowl was slain. The wind howled, and a whisper floated through the trees, "It is accepted." Within a week, Okafor's fortune changed. His farms yielded 3 times their usual harvest. Strangers came to buy his yams in bulk. Even the king sent men to trade with him. The villagers were amazed. "Okafor has been blessed by the gods," they said. "Surely he is a man of favor." But Okafor was not content. Wealth only made his hunger grow. A month later, he returned to the priest. "I want more. I want riches that no man in Odenkwa can dream of." The priest nodded slowly. "Bring a goat this time. The gods have tasted fowl. They now desire something stronger." Okafor brought a goat. The sacrifice was made. Again the spirits accepted. His herds multiplied. His barns overflowed. He built a new mansion of red clay and shining brass gates. The villagers sang his praises. "O Dogwu the Great, the man whose shadow brings fortune." But the gods watched in silence, for greed has no end. As months turned into years, Okafor's ambition became darker. He returned to the forest yet again. This time, the priest's face was stern. "O Dogwu," he said, "you have drunk deeply from the cup of desire. The spirits will demand more now. Bring a cow, spotless and white, for the gods crave greater blood." Okafor obeyed. He brought the cow. The ritual was done. Thunder rolled above the trees. When Okafor returned home, his fame had spread to distant lands. Traders from other villages called him the man blessed by the gods. His wealth was beyond measure, but his heart knew no peace. He no longer prayed with his wives. He no longer joined the village gatherings. He began to mutter to himself at night, staring into the fire like one haunted. Then came the day of reckoning. One evening, Okafor went again to the forest. The priest was waiting, his eyes cold as death. "The spirits are displeased," he said. "They say your debts to them are too great. You have taken from them without giving enough in return. To open the final gate of fortune, they demand something precious, something that carries your bloodline." Okafor's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" The priest's voice was heavy. "You must offer what you love most. The spirits desire the essence of your home, a life bound to yours by love." Okafor's face went pale. For the first time, fear gripped him. He returned home silent, his mind in torment. Days passed. He could not sleep. His wives begged him to speak. But Okafor only grew colder, distant, hollow. Then, one night, the village woke to screams from his compound. His second wife, Amora, had fallen suddenly ill. She coughed blood, trembled, and died before dawn. The villagers wept and mourned with Okafor, who put ashes on his head and wailed, but his eyes held no tears. Soon after, his wealth doubled again. His herds grew beyond counting. Months later, his first wife, Ngozi, also vanished. Okafor claimed she had gone to visit relatives, but her family never saw her again. Rumors began to spread through Odenkwa. Okafor's wives are gone, yet his riches grow. Can a man serve the gods of light and still walk in shadow? But no one dared confront him, for fear and respect shielded him. A year later, Okafor announced a grand festival, the greatest the village had ever seen. He said it was to honor the gods for his success and to bless the children of Odenkwa. He slaughtered cows and goats, brewed palm wine in barrels, and invited everyone, young and old, especially the children. His compound sparkled with lanterns. Drums echoed through the night. Dancers twirled and laughter filled the air. But behind Okafor's smile hid a monstrous secret. For the priest had told him that to seal his eternal fortune, he must offer the blood of an innocent child. That night, as the drums thundered, Okafor planned to choose one child, the daughter of his late wife, Amara. Her name was Chinello, a bright, cheerful girl loved by all. He would call her before the crowd, pretend to bless her, but beneath the floor of his storeroom, a pit had already been dug. The sacrifice would be made before midnight. But the gods had watched enough. Just as the feast reached its height, a strange wind swept through the compound. The lanterns flickered and died. The drums stopped on their own. The laughter froze in the air. The ground trembled, and thunder rolled across the sky without rain. The priest appeared, his body shaking violently, his eyes glowing white. He pointed at Okafor and screamed in a voice not his own. "Okafor Nadozi, you have betrayed the sacred law of life. You who fed the gods with blood, hear your judgment. The earth rejects you." The villagers gasped. Okafor tried to speak, but his voice failed. The pots of food turned to ash. The wine turned black as charcoal. The earth opened, and flames leapt from beneath. The crowd fled in terror. Okafor fell to his knees. "Mercy," he cried. "Mercy, O gods. I did it all for wealth." A great voice thundered through the night. "You traded love for gold, kindness for vanity, peace for blood. You sought to own the world, now you will own nothing." Lightning struck his mansion. Fire consumed his barns. His gold melted like wax. The drums burst apart. When dawn came, the once mighty Okafor was gone. His compound lay in ruins, and his name became a curse. For many days no one saw him. Some said he had been swallowed by the earth. Others said he wandered the forests, mad and barefoot, crying to unseen spirits for mercy. The priest of Ajala vanished and was never seen again. Years later, hunters told of an old man's voice in the forest at night, whispering, "Contentment is wealth. Contentment is peace." They say it was Okafor's spirit, doomed to wander forever, warning those who would follow his path. So the elders of Odenkwa would gather their children under the great Iroko tree and say, "Remember Okafor of Odenkwa. The gods give enough for every man's need, but never enough for his greed. A man who kills to grow rich will one day feed his soul to the spirits. Wealth gained through evil fades faster than smoke. True riches are found in peace, in love, and in the work of clean hands." And when the wind passes through Odenkwa's forest at night, the people still whisper, "Listen, that is Okafor's cry. He who hungered for gold now feeds the dust. He who killed for wealth now begs for peace."